right. I haven't done this in a while. Fun stuff. Here's the move we've been looking for. Unfortunately, it's to the downside. Good morning, everybody. Or evening or afternoon or something. Been a long time. Well, I saw the market sell off. We've been waiting for a resolution. I wasn't going to do a stream. I wasn't really thinking about it until I saw Bitcoin start to break our trend line. So we'll see if, yeah, we'll see if this is actually it. Litecoin took an extreme early move and dumped 7% super early. Yeah, we were just kind of waiting for things to resolve themselves, hoping they would bounce up, but they have not been doing that. They've literally just been selling off. Litecoin's been extraordinarily weak, which makes sense. It's leading the sell-off. A lot of the other coins starting to catch up to it. Ethereum Classic down 12% after failing its kind of base up there, which we were looking into. And then Bitcoin down 3.5% right now. So the way I think I'm viewing the Bitcoin chart at this moment in time is actually in terms of a descending triangle. It's been a while, guys. I've been thinking about doing a video for the past couple of days, but I just haven't gotten into it, unfortunately. But we'll talk about it right now. So we've been discussing Bitcoin in this higher base now for a while during my show, and kind of waiting for it to go. We caught this leg up, topped up here, failed up here, and since then it's really kind of put in a very interesting pattern, which does not lead to a majorly which has not led us to a majorly bullish situation, which leads us into where we are now. Now, that being said, not all hope is lost. It's not looking good, but not all hope is lost, because what we have is this lovely, let's go to the daily chart here on this guy. We have a large and lovely descending triangle, which can break in either direction, to be honest with you. Bitcoin likes to take any triangle and just do whatever it wants to with it. So not necessarily super bullish or super bearish with the descending triangle pattern, but living lower is not very good. In the stock market, usually the flat line is the one that breaks, but in crypto, I've really seen it go both directions. I'm not really leaning one direction or another at the moment. The general volume trend on the day is still declining. What's up, Nick? And yeah, so there we have it. Bitcoin just broke a little inclining trend line we had here, but really Litecoin breaking is the larger story. So let me finish up Bitcoin, and then I'll talk about Litecoin in case some of you guys haven't been keeping up with Litecoin recently. So Bitcoin, we had a beautiful run up. We've been messing around in this higher level basing area, not really breaking down a tremendous amount. We've come down quite a bit percentage-wise. I think it's 35%. We're down about 35% overall, but we're not breaking down further than that so far. We were talking a little bit about a symmetrical triangle in BTC for a while, ever since we kind of had these lows put in over here. You could loosely argue that we were in a symmetrical triangle without this line right there. So that's not too bad for a symmetrical triangle, but if that breaks, which it just did break, which is the whole reason why I'm here, if this does break, then what we have is still potential for it to curl up out of this thing in the form of a descending triangle, which is that. And then even if that fails, now keep in mind, I'm not advocating buying it here, buying it off that trend line or anything. I'm just talking bigger picture, chart pattern, analysis, stuff like that. We had the symmetrical triangle just broke, and we'll see how big the volume gets. This, this could stop at any time. My alert for BTC falling just went off on my computer. Yeah, so that's fun. So coming back down to the descending triangle base, this is another area that we could find support. If we don't have a tremendous amount of volume on this sell-off, we could end up with some support down here, which we've already seen twice, and also happens to match up nicely with a high over here, creating a pivot point. So we could have a pivot point here, which leads us into a descending triangle, which could lead us into another move. If we fail this line, things get much, much murkier. If we fail this line, we have a 200 period moving average, which is while they're all the way down here. And then so, we can take that move. But even if we fail this, there's still a potential for Bitcoin being bullish with kind of a channel situation here. So still there's a potential for us to remain bullish even if we fail the descending triangle into a channel situation. So, I mean, not all hope is lost, but breaking the symmetrical triangle here is the first sign of pretty major weakness. The next would be the failing of the descending triangle and then moving back into the channel. We actually had the channel first. We had the channel first, and then as we had the second bottom, we kind of noticed the descending triangle, rallied up into this trend line, and then started looking at the symmetrical triangle once these last candles started to form over the past couple of weeks. So we're starting to see some of the breakdown in Bitcoin. We'll see how deep it gets. The next thing up that I want to talk about is Litecoin. And in the Power Hour, we've been really talking about this head and shoulders pattern for a while now. I would argue at least since this second high, maybe even before then. I can't remember off the top of my head. But this is our red neckline that we have, and we've been toying with that, not really bouncing back, and failing, and volume increasing. We'll see how high these candles get. Why am I not getting any time? Where's my time? Regular percent. Countdown to bar close. Okay, so it's just not quite working. Oh, it's a daily, so it won't give me a countdown. My bad. There's my countdown till bar close. So on my 2-hour chart, we basically completely failed this at this stage of the game, and it looks like it's continuing. It doesn't look like there's major bottoming action that I've seen yet. I haven't seen any major bottoms happening going on. Is the stream choppy? No, should be okay. Stream should be okay. But yeah, so Litecoin definitely leading us lower as it's led us through this entire move off of the lows in Bitcoin. So there's not a lot of surprise that Litecoin would be the leader lower, and it is. So Litecoin with a tremendous head and shoulders here. If you actually take this as a measured move, which you are allowed to do with a head and shoulders pattern, you get -3. It's pretty fun. So -2.63. You basically get -3. So Litecoin's going into the negative. I don't quite think that's going to happen, but it definitely leads to much lower prices in the Litecoin chart. So that's what's going on here. Really, it's less of a Bitcoin story in my opinion, and more of a Litecoin story. Litecoin is really has been the bellwether for the market recently, and it is leading us. It is leading us lower. Bitcoin is trying to catch up as some of the bears kind of step in. You can see right there. EOS down 10%. Looks like it's failing to get off the floor as fast as everybody else. And then what else? What else is moving here? Ethereum Classic just took it really deep on the chin really quickly. You can see right there, Ethereum Classic has been looking spectacular until overnight yesterday. And then we started rolling over from there. And now we have a much larger sell candle coming in here on Ethereum Classic. So we'll see what happens with this one. We've been kind of eyeing this breakout for a while. Hasn't transpired though. Yeah, definitely been since March, maybe even whenever it led off with the lows. If that was March, then that was March. I don't know off the top of my head. Let me go to the daily here on Litecoin. Yeah, I'm really since the bottom. I got to be honest with you. It's really since the bottom. It's just been on fire. Really, it has been. We did break this longer term trend line over here. Up here, we were looking for a return to this trend line when we were up here, and then it dropped down lower and then undercut, and then we finally started putting in some shoulders. So, pretty good, Ian. How you doing? So JK asking a good opportunity to buy back BTC. Well, right now it's unclear. There's no right level. That's kind of a misnomer. A lot of people try to give you a price. I really don't do that a tremendous amount in terms of giving specific price levels for longing on a way down. That's very, very difficult to do that correctly under most circumstances. Sometimes there's something fairly clear in the chart. At this time, the only thing I can say is there's definitely some support down here at the 9100 level. Past that, I don't have any good areas for BTC. But even that 9100, I'm not so sure that is a blanket buy area. It really just depends how we handle this sell-off and get down to that level. If we get down there and it's fairly normalized volume, you can see there's a very clear volume trend on the daily chart of just declining volume. If that continues, and then we end up getting a little bit lower here, and things look okay, and we spike into it with kind of a medium sell candle, maybe you can try to take a bounce off of that. But at this stage of the game, saying buy 91 doesn't really seem right. Not at least to me. So now keep in mind, this drop just happened. I happened to be just sitting here at the computer when I noticed everything falling apart. So I figured I'd jump on a live stream because it was breaking some of the trend lines we've been looking at here in the power hour. So figure I'd jump on. Let's check out Litecoin. Bottoming a little bit. How's the volume doing? Let's go to the 15 minute because this just happened. So we'll maybe get a little better sense of what's happening with some lower term time frames. RSI really low. And can't even back out that much. So not a tremendous amount of useful information on a very small term time frame because I want to look at volume comparatively from much higher time frames. So hard to do that with such a short time frame. But on the 2 hour here, you can see only half an hour into this 2 hour candle, and that volume signature that was just printed was pretty massive. So I would probably anticipate maybe another further leg lower. Usually when you have a sell-off like this out of a neckline such as this, it usually continues lower. You'll end up with some kind of a small consolidation, then some more legs lower. Litecoin has really been unable to bounce. I mean, we were talking about that this morning in the show, is that Litecoin was stuck under this trend line. We were looking for it to break and maybe make a move off of the neckline, which is right here, and that has just not been the case. Litecoin has been unable to bounce, and end result is what is right now Litecoin down like 8% or something like that. So anyway, that's kind of what's going on right there with Litecoin, but not good news generally for the cryptocurrency market right now as a whole. You can see most of my list, except for the dominance, is actually 0.84% because the alts are underperforming Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's dominance is still getting higher. Look at that. And now it looks like Bitcoin may be selling off a little bit more. I don't know exactly what the story is there. But it's so funny that even if everything falls, Bitcoin still gains more market dominance. That just proves to you that the altcoin market is a tremendous amount of hype. Not a lot of value. The value is really with Bitcoin. I mean, really. I was thinking Litecoin too, if it didn't fail that large head and shoulders pattern. Let's take a look at some altcoins. These are the altcoins that we look at every day in the power hour, and we did go pretty red. Not that bad though. Not really. There we go. Now I can see the percentages a little bit better. Mid single digits, couple down there. Win's a low Satoshi coin, so it's down 25%. PMA down 25, another low Satoshi coin. So not too many coins completely dying over here on this particular drop. GNT staying positive, FMT staying positive, FTM, excuse me, staying positive. ETP, Dusk, positive for some reason. So not too bad. But yeah, the dominance chart really looking interesting right there. All right, so Bitcoin looks like it has stopped for now at a prior low right there. We'll see if that does prove to be a low or just the first stopping point in a series of lows. Litecoin so far seems to be just resting down here. Looks like also setting up for another leg lower. So I would assume that is kind of the start of the next couple of legs lower potentially here. Hey, what's up, Mel? Bitcoin Cash. Yeah, one thing we noted too, everything was looking really tight. Bitcoin Cash just fell. I'm sure Ethereum broke its tight pattern too. Yep, absolutely. There's that tight pattern in Ethereum. So the Ethereum chart also not very encouraging. Bitcoin Cash also not very encouraging by any stretch of the imagination. So, but what you have here in Ethereum is a bear flag right here with a large bear flag situation falling out of highs, and then a break down from the bear flag and a failure to move back into the bear flag, and then another failure again. So Ethereum continuing on with its kind of low and slow decline all the way down into lower areas after just really massive run-ups in a relatively short period of time. So it does kind of make sense that we do get another drawdown in the market. Death crosses everywhere. Shiny says since Litecoin's a large coin, it would have outsized effect. Hey, what's up, Mel? Short ETH, get money. Yeah, right? I'd rather short Litecoin and get money, to be honest with you. Let's take a look at BTC. Well, actually, ETH you can short against the dollar on BitMEX, so maybe that's where he's coming from there. But ETH breaking down pretty significantly right there. Litecoin actually bouncing back versus Bitcoin quite a bit. That's an interesting bottoming wick when the dollar pair is giving you a completely different story. How about Link versus BTC? We actually happen to have that here. So Link versus Link's one of my favorite coins right now. It has been for a long time, and it just hasn't presented itself with a good buy point recently. So we're not doing much with Link. We're just watching it. That's all. Watching it for all of the, all of the good stuff. When it comes up, then we'll jump back into Link. But so far it hasn't done anything worthy of that. Small caps against BTC not doing too bad. Yeah, not too bad. We looked at those a second ago actually. Mid single digits. Some of them double digits. AGI looks like it's down 10%. AST also down 10%. They're holding up relatively well. I just think they're beaten down so much. There's not too many people really looking at just literally dumping them. I think a lot of money has gone into these larger cryptos, which is why I think Litecoin is really been one of the ones taking it on the chin the hardest, because it had the biggest run for the longest period of time. So it definitely makes sense that they're taking more profit out of Litecoin than other coins. Because other coins, I don't think there's too many people taking larger positions, where in Litecoin it looks like everyone, people have had a long time to gather positions here, and there hasn't been a tremendous amount of distribution on the right side of this chart. You have several large candle spikes, but nothing near what I don't think anything near what we had down here at the lows. So on the right side here, you can see there's not a tremendous amount. On the way up, there was some distribution. Obviously several red candles, but you can see right here my volume aggregation tool is showing you a disproportionate amount of buyers even up here towards the top. And so a lot of those buyers still have positions. Some of them will be distributing. I'm sure a lot of them have already distributed some of their positions, probably especially down on this leg. But a follow through here definitely means this is a pretty important topping area for Litecoin. So I would argue this 73 area that we just failed from, even though we're pretty close to it, usually what happens is these become pivot points, especially when you have a confluence of price ranges, which we appear to here. Right there, you kind of have a little minor spike down, testing, and then breaking down. Usually these can become some important pivot points. So getting back up towards that, looks like that's 71, not even 73, it's 71.33. So yeah, that right there could potentially be our next pivot point for Litecoin. But the general trend right here and the important point is failing this larger head and shoulders pattern. Or I should say continuing the head and shoulders pattern. It didn't fail the pattern, it continued the pattern. So BTC, how's it doing? Still kind of maintaining a little bit, but a break like that, I don't view necessarily as bullish. It's going to have to break out of this longer trend line right here, I think, for me to get extraordinarily bullish. If we do chop back up, then it really means we're in a very dangerous choppy market, which is not a good situation to be in. You do not want to be in a dangerously choppy market. So we've kind of paused a little bit from the sell-off. Do you guys have any questions, anything you want to ask? Any coins you want me to look at? I'll go ahead. Let me go through some comments, and I'll see what I missed. I was just kind of chatting there for a while. So 0F's given. You're going to buy back in BTC lower. We didn't drop that much lower. I'm not sure if that's a good one to buy in. We'll see. Quite a bit of volume down there. Sell Litecoin, Bitcoin. I already addressed JK's question. Good opportunity to buy Bitcoin. I don't really see a great particular number level to buy Bitcoin at this stage. Sometimes they present themselves. At least for me, like I said, the only number that could be somewhat clear is around the 9,000, 9,100 level. But it also kind of depends how we get down there. There's a lot of price action that goes into that as well. Tether's kicking butt, huh? Was it at $1.01? Woohoo! Is Craig Wright selling? Is that what's happening? You know, you never know who's selling, but we were actually looking at that story earlier. I don't know if you guys have seen this or not, but pretty interesting story. Apparently, Craig Wright lost the Kleinman case, which I didn't even know was in existence. I'll post a link to this article if you guys are interested, but it's a pretty interesting story. Apparently, Craig Wright stole a lot of Bitcoin worth like $5 billion. I think that's kind of funny. Go to the movies and miss a big crypto move. Well, I guess you should Netflix more there, Ian. It's called an expensive lunch is what it's called. Yeah. That's called an expensive lunch. If Bitcoin drops 2,000 in the next 2-3 days, alts are dead. Yeah, I'd probably say the same thing there, Jay. $2,000 is quite a bit for Bitcoin to drop. And I would also argue that alts have already been dead. Alts have we found a few decent altcoin trades, but nothing sustaining. It's just been, you know, one or two things have popped up that have really worked out really well. But even those have only been about 15 to maybe 30-40% gainers. There was a couple of them that weren't really well telegraphed that went up 50-60%, but those would have been hard to get involved in. So you could actually argue the alts have been dead for a significant period of time. Thoughts on washout to go higher in BTC? I didn't see the washout volume where I would expect it. At least, well, I wasn't looking at it like on the minute chart. I'm going to go check it out here. On the minute chart, I don't see major washout volume. There's a little bit of a bottom candle right there. We obviously have much higher volume candles up here. So I'm not quite sure if this is the volume signature needed for us to bounce out of it. I don't really see it, to be honest with you. At least right now, we're probably. If you remember Monkeytron, when we were doing in the Power Hour, we mentioned over here, and I think over here too. Let me go to the 2-hour chart. We talked about good-looking candles for bottoming, and we just weren't seeing them. And it's just been more of that, more lack of good buy. Oh, it was right here. So remember here, we said this wasn't good volume signature for bottoming candle. This looks like that on the higher term time frame, and even on the lower term time frame. Just doesn't quite look right for a bottoming candle. This one made another leg lower here and then bounced up and then proceeded to kind of FUD us around. We did have a nice big candle the other day, if you recall, but then we ended up not doing anything with it. It ended up with a large stalling candle there, and then we tried this morning, and then the final crack right there. So it kind of is what it is at this stage. Now, we did double bottom here a little bit. Not exactly, but still, it doesn't look right for a major bottoming candle. It looks like it's just another break in the chain, another chink in the armor to this pattern of Bitcoin. So which is why, you know, we talked about the symmetrical triangle. Then today I said, yeah, you know what? It's basically a descending triangle the way that it's actually been behaving, because this This action right here in a symmetrical triangle doesn't bode well for me for bullish action. Yeah, so we were waiting for the breakup. It never happened. It broke down. So what's next? Well, you wait to see what the price action is going to do as we, potentially find support at 9,100. That is, I think, kind of our next bastion where we could maybe see a bottoming candle. This was not quite in the right place, but still a large enough candle that it can, and it did provide a bottoming area. It's kind of weird. If you guys remember from the Power Hour a long time ago, I did an analysis of high volume bottoming candles and where they appeared in the chart. They didn't always appear right at the bottom. Oftentimes they appeared before. This is a little further out. Usually 2 to 3 to 4 days you would see the high volume bottom or candles. You would see the high volume bottoming. But this one definitely would count if you're on a 4-hour chart. I'm on a 2-hour chart. So on a 4-hour chart, this would definitely meet the criteria. And then we did get a nice little bounce from there. And then, a lot further upside after that. But right now, it looks like it's the opposite. It looks like we're continuing with the breakdown. Does the MACD on the W chart be a sign we'll go to 8K? I'm assuming you mean weekly. And I don't really have the MACD on here. Let me check it out. Oh, you know what? Someone posted that in the Slack chat room. Yeah, if you guys are not involved in the Slack chat room, you're really missing out. I've got some good traders in there. Guys always posting good charts. If you do go to my website, it's not hard to get involved in the Slack chat room. It's a free service. My Power Hour is a paid membership where we go over the markets every day. But the Slack chat room, you can sign up right here and get a link to the Slack chat room. So if you haven't done so already, I know a lot of you guys are involved in the Slack chat room already. But if you're not, please go ahead. Like I said, it's free. I don't spam your email box. Ask anyone if you've ever received an email from me. So, but yeah, go ahead and do that. And if you are interested in the Power Hour, you can go ahead and click here on the Learn More button there, or you can click up there on the while I'm logged. You can go into the services section here. I'm going to revamp the website too, I think, this week, by the way. Not that anyone cares. But weekly, let's check out the MACD. And yeah, this is what who posted this? 50? Did you post this? I'm not sure if 50 posted it or someone else did. But yeah, a breakdown on the weekly on the MACD here. That is a little disturbing, to be honest with you. I'm not a real big indicator guy, but I'm not mad at all indicators. I'm not mad at MACD, I'm not mad at RSI, I'm not mad at stochastics, I'm not really even mad at Bollinger Bands. Some of the more benign, generic indicators, when you start getting very specific indicators that really has a lot of, because a lot of indicators that people put out, you do need some training on. The MACD is one that doesn't need a lot of training, nor does stochastic or RSI. There's some minutia to using them appropriately, but I'm not really mad at them, even if I don't use them all the time. So the MACD is actually showing a case of kind of weakening strength here. And it's kind of, it's showing to further weakness. So we've actually gone red. If you don't know how to use the MACD, so what you have is you have the red and the blue moving averages. I forget what they are. I think 50 and 20 something. I don't remember what they are. And then you have these green bars, and then they turn into red bars. So what the bars are, they show the spread between the long-term moving average, which on this chart is red, and the shorter-term moving average, which is in blue. And so you can see here, as these start to narrow, you see this start to move towards an equilibrium point, which is 0. And then it starts to undercut, then your shorter-term moving average begins undercutting your longer-term moving average. So that's kind of how you use the MACD a little bit. That's kind of a little bit on how you use the MACD and how you read it. But, as you cross the 0 line here, as all the moving averages kind of oscillate around the center line, then you can use that to kind of make appropriate predictions and stuff like that. Oh, just take credit, Paul. Just take credit. Tone doesn't need credit for much. He takes enough credit. Probably more credit than he needs to. Daikon's got a very good question, and something we addressed the other day in the Power Hour. So I'm noticing my stream start to degrade in performance a little bit. If anyone is noticing a choppy stream, let me know. and a little longer length. Yeah, you can modify these as much as you feel like it. A lot of people do. But to get to, let me see what else I missed. Let me get some other questions before I miss them all. Okay, so this is Duarte's question about the MACD on a W chart, on a weekly chart, be assigned going to 8K. Yeah, so yeah, I mean 8K is fine. I mean, I don't know why you chose 8K specifically. It would just mean lower prices. Where that could be is a whole other ball game. I mean, in theory, we could end up slowly drifting lower underneath the 3200, which oddly enough, and I didn't even think about this, guys. If you remember, my long-term target was 24 to 3600 for BTC on the way down. I didn't even think about it because I kind of revised my target based on the drop here. I kind of revised my target, but my original target, actually 3200, it was pretty good, so not too bad. Anyway, I've never said that on the YouTube channel before, so someone just pointed it out to me like, oh, you were right. I'm like, what was I right about? They're like, oh, 24 to 3600. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I was. I didn't even think about it. Of course, then I was wrong because I revised my target. So, right and wrong. But yeah, so in terms of targets and in terms of a much larger move, it's fully possible. So let me talk a little bit more about. Well, I don't want to get too deep in the weeds. Let me stick to some questions. We get too deep in the weeds in the power hour. No need to do it here. MACDW. On the plus side, good boy. See Mackley crossover weekly, the same 18K top. Yep, right there. Take a look at WAN chain, please. Yeah, I think WAN was one we've been looking at today. Was it WAN? Yeah, it was WAN chain. So WAN, we have an alert at 4310 on WAN chain for the Crypto Power Hour members, Real Crypto Power Hour members, 4310. Obviously, it doesn't look like it's getting there anytime soon. So, I mean, it was looking really good. We were waiting for it to break out. It never broke out from this was our initial alert. Well, first we had it here, and then after this topic happened, we put the alert level here, and then now we have it here at 4310. So, breaking down these, unless it can get above 4310, I'm not really interested in WAN chain. What happened, Sanctus? We just had a nice sell-off in the markets. So how likely do you rate the possibility of the whole rally being a large bull trap heading towards 3K? Just to answer that question directly, in which if I were to answer indirectly, knowing me would take a very long time, I actually think I'm starting to think a little bit more that it is a top. My last public video I put out, I think it was the last one, I talked about the potential for this to rally past and be more like the early 2013 bull market where we rally past 20,000 to much higher prices. And while that's still a possibility based on the time frames and the spans of these moves, while it's still possible, I would probably give maybe almost 50-50 right now for us to continue moving higher and continue moving lower. Until we resolve this general base here, if we definitively move lower beneath this 9100 in spectacular fashion, and or, you know, here's kind of a caveat to that. If I'm going to go back to the daily here, if we continue to move without massive volume spikes, without us getting any interest in, without any buying pressure, regardless of how we move below 9100, that does bode for a low and slow Bitcoin decline. Those would be my two scenarios that I'm looking at for Bitcoin right here. Those would be those two scenarios. All right, Monkeytron reloaded the stream. So if you guys are having stream issues, go ahead and reload. And while you're at it, guys, while you're hitting buttons on your browser, hit the like button, if you would, please. If you do enjoy my content when I do put it out, please go ahead and hit the like button. Also, share the video. YouTube really ranks things high if you share it. So, I don't know, share it somewhere. I don't know. Click the button. Makes YouTube think you're sharing it. I don't know exactly how that works. But please like the video. Please subscribe. Marketing stuff. Anything marketing I can say, I'll do it right now. Actually, if I'm going to market myself, may as well talk about the Power Hour again. where we every single day we discuss the markets in depth, go over all kinds of stuff. I'm doing a lot of stock stuff lately because it's been popping up. Look at our Starbucks, all Power Hour members. Starbucks not looking too bad. How's gold doing? Gold's not doing too bad either. So yeah, doing a lot more stock stuff in the Power Hour because crypto's a little thin lately, so we're kind of expanding onto other areas. Power Hour is still awesome. Monkeytron, what Michael said. A wise man once said the reason is more sellers than buyers. Fair enough. Wouldn't it be more interesting to talk about reasons why BTC falls? Well, let me dispel that for you, BG. It is not important at all to talk why BTC falls. In fact, if you're looking for the reasons why BTC is failing, you're missing how to trade. I mean, quite frankly, there's no reason. And even if you knew the reason, well, there is a reason. So let me back up a little bit. Things happen in life for a reason. Usually not the reason you think. And third of all, you won't know the reason until after it's happened. So the reason is really a moot point. The reason doesn't matter at all. Like, it really doesn't matter. If you go back and you look at, we kind of know why we failed up here at 20K. We kind of know why. It was the Mt. Gox guy selling. Apparently, that's the main. That's kind of one of the main spiels as for why things sold up there. But you didn't even hear about it until we were down at, like, I think it was over here, wasn't it? We were like well under 10K at that moment in time. Then we heard the article. So it doesn't matter why Bitcoin sold off at 20K. It only matters that it is selling off at 20K. At the same point, if a guy is stabbing you with a knife, it doesn't matter why he's stabbing you with a knife. You're like, you're getting stabbed. Oh, why are you doing this? Oh, well, my girlfriend left me and left me for you. Oh, now I get it. Continue. No, you don't want to continue being stabbed. You just want to get away from the situation. So it really doesn't matter why something happens. It just matters that it is happening. It literally doesn't matter why. Why never makes you any money. The only thing that makes you money is movements in the chart. So the only thing you really have to pay attention to is price and volume and your edge on the market. That's it. Your edge on the market. Nothing else matters, quite literally. Now, as an academic argument, when you see these events happen, or when you hear about the reason why this happened or why that happened, you go, oh, that's interesting. Then things kind of make sense. Then maybe you can formulate a picture. And then the next time you see a similar situation, when you see things line up, maybe you can, with confirmation, take action on those situations. So to answer your question very directly, no, it doesn't matter. And no, it would not be more interesting. It would actually be very futile. And to be quite honest with you, one of the reasons why I'm probably not a very successful YouTuber is the fact that I don't care about trivial shit like why. A lot of people, it always sounds really good to know rationally why something happens. But if you want to make money, it doesn't really matter unless you're Goldman Sachs, unless you're someone with multi-billions of dollars and the ones making the market, then you care about the why. The rest of us peasants, really, if you worry about the why, you're wasting brain power on things that, could be better used for analysis and looking around the market and doing what could be considered dumb trading, if you will. Dumb trading is sometimes some of the best trading you can do. You just notice something in the charts and it goes and it works and you don't know why and you make some money. What's wrong with that? BG says there's always a reason. You are correct. There's always a reason. But tell me, how do you make money on the reason? Do you make money on the reason, or do you make money or save money on the action? If the reason, let's say this last little dump in the market, okay, let's just say that for some reason this last little dump in the market is caused because Goldman Sachs needed to cover taxes for their most recent quarter of profits. Okay, that's the reason. How do you make money on that? You don't. But like I said earlier, from an academic perspective, if you hear about that after the fact, you can say, oh, Goldman Sachs has quarterly profits coming up that they need to pay taxes on. Let's look for a sell-off. and then you watch for the sell-off, and if it never comes, then it doesn't matter. So I would argue it's not interesting and it doesn't matter, and I would do you a lot of harm if I sat here and juxtaposed as to why each of these red candles happened. So for those people new to trading and new to cryptocurrencies, or I mean anything like that, that's sometimes a hard pill to swallow, is that why really doesn't matter whatsoever. It's much more harmful than good. You know, because the guy stabbing you doesn't matter why. Just get him off you. Do a trading shitcoin season webinar? I can do it right now, Don. Just don't trade. That's a potential thing. I mean, trading altcoins in a choppy season. I don't know if I want to do. I could do a specific webinar on that if anyone's actually interested. Yeah, maybe that is some of the hardest trading you're going to do, because a choppy alt season essentially leads to very choppy behavior, which leads to over trading, which leads to losses. So a wise trader would trade very infrequently during any choppy market. I mean very infrequently, to the point of not trading. Like for them, their trade would be logging in, looking at the charts, notice they still suck, and then leaving. That would be a good trade during a crazy choppy market. Does this sound like a decent risk management? Short at 10,250 at 9, stop 1033, take profits at 92.50, 4-to-1 leverage, 50% of stack. 4-to-1 leverage isn't bad. Actually, don't. Yeah. So if it looks like that's a potential BitMEX trade. So you've got short at 10,250. So, okay, that's a great short. Stop at 10,333. Yeah, that's fine. Anything above there, I think, is a good stop, especially if that's your entrance. And then 92.50. Yeah, I'm not mad whatsoever at that trade. That sounds like a fantastic trade. As long as you're able to get that fill, if you can get that fill, more power to you. I think that's fantastic. Absolutely. Hoping for a long time for a huge double to complete by going back down to 3K slowly again. Then you'll buy back in. Yep, you may get that. You may get that, Zero. ETH from an angled head and shoulders with perfect volume profile, measure move to 70 to 80 USD. Okay, let's look at oh yeah, this thing. Oh, volume profile. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, so you're saying, I've thought about this. I'm not a massive fan, if this is what you're talking about. I don't know. Let me see how it works out. Maybe there's a smaller one. That's actually pretty big. You must be talking about this one here. This is way too big. This would take you way down lower. That's not it. That's not it whatsoever. You must be talking about this one here. That's the only thing I think that could get you down into that price level. So, but your neckline would have to be like this, which is crazy. That's a very crazy neckline right there. I'm not sure about that, Mel. I'm not sure if I see what you're seeing. If you want to post a chart in Slack, I'll take a look at it, Mel. I don't see what you're seeing right there, though, at least on the daily time frame. These are very slanted. These very slanted head and shoulders patterns are very hard to get right, because the more time goes on, the lower the price has to go. So it's always kind of a weird situation. But maybe post a chart in Slack, Mel, and then send me a DM or something. At least ping me, and then I can take a look at it. Brandon shorting BSV to 0. Where do you short BSV at? That may be a good move. That may be a good move. See ya, Jay's got it. Y never makes money. Chart is king. Great lines. Absolutely. Absolutely. Chart is king. There's nothing, no other edge you have on the market. Thanks, Brandon. Sometimes I have some good ones. What up, Ed? If you knew the why, you would be an insider, or yeah, if you knew the why, you would be an insider, or you would be the why. Yeah, exactly. Precisely. Precisely. Always a reason, yes. Then guess what? There's an imbalance of sellers to buyers. That's it. End of. Yeah, something like that. Sometimes why matters when it comes to predicting major trends, but 90% of the time, especially day-to-day action, does not matter. Yes, I'll give you that, Mel. I would actually put it 98% of the time it doesn't matter. But there are some circumstances where the why does matter. So if you think of a stock market, which is a very mature market, the why matters quite significantly in a lot of circumstances. But in cryptocurrency, where it's basically just a trader's playground, I would actually argue why just doesn't matter that much at all. Win Moon, go to hell. You know what you're doing. Choppy alts is roulette table. I don't even think it's roulette table. I think it's like playing drunk roulette. I don't know. It's something really bad, worse than roulette. I mean, it's just the problem with alts is that they fail a lot of breakouts. That's the problem. Hey, someone joined the Slack chat room. Thank you for joining. UMTF9HVZ. Better not start spamming. I'll kick you out. Oh, it doesn't look like it. There's a name to it, so hopefully it's a person. We had someone else come in the other day and spam everything. I had to kick everybody out. Okay, roulette table. Oh, bullish altcoin season. Ooh, man, that's a big webinar, Don. See, the thing about a bullish altcoin season and trying to catch like all these 200, 300, 400% moves is it's so hard to know which is the next one to go. And I haven't reliably found. Really, the best thing I've found for that, for almost any altcoin season, is new ICOs. They tend to have just some really spectacular runs. You know, not immediately, obviously, but when they do start to run, they start to run, which is one of the reasons why in the Power Hour, I'm going to talk about my show here, which is why in the Power Hour, we go over all these coins every single day. Well, let me rephrase that. I usually don't go through all these coins with you guys. Usually what I do is I go through them myself before the Power Hour, and then I kind of cherry pick the best charts that I see, and then we throw alert levels up, is because it's very difficult to know exactly what's the next coin to move. So you do have to look at a big basket of coins. But like on those ICOs, I mean, we have some really good moves. I'm trying to think of, there hasn't been a lot of them lately. Not a lot has really worked lately, but COS is one that had a really big rally over here. I mean, that's a huge rally. This guy goes up 150%, right? And then it does nothing. I mean, really, if you bought off of this low, which I believe we had an alert level right there, there's a potential there for 54% if you're patient. But I mean, past that, it doesn't do anything. So a lot of the altcoins, especially during an alt season, like one of the better runs of all time that I remember was Cardano, and I bought this thing perfect out of a perfect. I'm just what I consider perfect. It's not going to be on this chart though. I don't think it wasn't on Binance. Oh yeah, it was. There you go. Yeah. So I mean, I bought this thing perfectly. Beautiful little cup and handle thing right there. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. So these ICOs, when they come out, you don't buy it here. That's stupid. If you buy it here and it goes up, you're just lucky. This is a smart trade right there. Once you see a setup and volume start to step in, then you can start to get excited. But you have to wait for the setup to occur first. So the big thing with an altcoin trading season is that you got to have the setups, and usually the newer coins do better. Usually. Thanks for coming. Yeah, you're welcome. I appreciate that. Looked at WAN chain. I always scroll down, Ed. I just got to stay up top there for a minute. Nothing's changed in the slightest if we stay above the 9,500 region. I would say 91. I get 95. That's accurate. That's accurate as well. But I really think 91. If we stay anywhere above 91, I think we're still okay. 95, we still have room to go down to 91. So I cover more alts than anyone I watch. I should do more video. I do 200 alts a day, Monkeytron. Sometimes twice a day with you guys, if it's warranted. Well, the other day we had a lot of things setting up. If you remember, we did it all again. So, can you check weekly MACD crossovers during the last bull market? Often at the bottom of each correction. Weekly MACD. Okay. I'm not mad. Not mad at that. Oops, actually I shouldn't be doing that. I mean, here's weekly MACD. I'm not sure we're going to get a tremendous amount of, oh, there we go. That's what you're looking at. You got to take all that high. Okay, so keep in mind on this Coinbase chart, this is the ultimate low in Bitcoin back in 2015. Just keep that in mind. So anyway, so let's see, MACD. So we have, so we crossed up, you know, we came up out of this, went sideways, went up again, and MACD got pretty aggressive right there. And look at that, the slow moving average never went over the fast moving average, never went under the slow moving average until the top. I don't even think right there. I think there it may have touched it. Looks like an undercut for one smidgen. Ever so slightly, but hopefully that didn't scare you too much. Yeah, once we broke that, we never even came close to, well, we came close, but we never touched it. So you're saying if you look at the MACD, then we're firm in a bull mode. Well, unless we get an immediate bounce here, we're gonna undercut, which will probably end up leading us into more choppy territory. Good luck with that. Good luck with buying ENJ and Dash. Let's see what Dash has been untouchable for a long time now. So untouchable. I don't know why you'd buy that. That seems like a really bad decision. Just going to put it out there. Yeah, that just seems like a horrible decision. Unless you're going to play for like a small bounce. Dash has really been one of the weaker coins. We had it with this, whatever this pattern is. This isn't even a pattern, to be honest with you. This is just a couple of trend lines that happen to look like some kind of a triangle. And ever since we broke that, it's just been, Dash has just been nothing. It's just been garbage. You had one bounce right there out of extreme lows, and that was it. And it's just been unable to find any momentum. Dash is just a horrible, horrible coin to trade right now. And ENJ, we had the ease up here. We had ENJ and ENG together because they're together. And I'm not sure if I'd be buying this one either. That one looks like you could get a little bounce play out of it at least. I'm not sure out of all the coins why you chose those two. Seems fairly random. Yeah, fairly weird right there. That looks like a potentially a decent bottoming candle. 51 minutes left in a 2-hour candle. We're already here, so we could have relatively high volume. But unfortunately, ENJ is not really... Well, actually, fortunately, it looks like you found a little bit of a support point there. So, yeah, ENJ definitely better than Dash. Dash looks horrible. You know, you're literally catching a falling knife with Dash. ENJ, at least you're buying a bounce of a supported trend line. That's kind of what I see here. So I'm not too mad at an ENJ Dash, at an ENJ trade. At least you have a kind of a well-defined risk point, which is this trend line. When this trend line breaks, which also happens to coincide with my 200 period moving average on my 2-hour chart, That's always important to point out for you guys that aren't in the power hour, because I live on my 2-hour chart most of the time, and I do like this 200 period moving average. You do have some well-defined risk here, but in Dash, you don't have any well-defined risk. You're in lows. Your well-defined risk is down here 25% lower. So I don't see that as anything. You also don't have any high volume down here. There's nothing in Dash telling you to buy. Absolutely nothing. I'm not mad at the E&J trade though. That one's not horrible. That was not too bad. I really don't feel like Googling anything tone vase. I don't know why so many people follow that guy. I just don't get it. I mean, maybe I just don't show myself enough, but I hear that guy talk sometimes, and I'm like, how do people even listen to you? I just don't get it. I just don't get tone vase at all. And the guys in my Slack chat room, some of them actually watch him, and all they do is make fun of him. I guess he's just a source of entertainment. I don't know. I don't know how he gets on stages. I don't know how he gets interviews. I have no idea. Early adopter, I guess. All right, guys. You appear to be running out of questions. Looks like Bitcoin isn't falling anymore so far. Let's go check it out. And not a lot of major confidence there. Because you like Dash, well, yeah, you can like Dash. I'm gonna call you Rube because I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce your name there. Rube. Yeah, again, you can like a lot of things, and this kind of goes a little bit with the whole knowing why something's going to drop. I'm not sure if you were with us earlier when I was talking about that. The guy asked, let's talk about why Bitcoin's dumping. I'm like, no, we don't need to know that, and it doesn't even matter. Oh, you have the chart in Slack? Okay, Mel, cool. Let's check it out. You posted 2 charts. All right, so I'm going to bring up the Slack chat room for a minute, guys. Here's the Slack chat room. There we go. Okay. Okay. So here's Slack, and you've got. Oh, that volume. I thought you meant volume profile, like the bars that come off of the side here. That's what I was referring to as volume profile. Oh, so it was the whole thing. Yeah, that's interesting right there. Whoever just me Caliph, me. I'm just gonna call you me, another me. Well, here's an ETH chart. I can't argue too much with that one. I'm not really mad at that neckline. Again, I'm not a mate. These aren't. When you get a head and shoulders pattern like this, I'm usually not on board with it. I see what you're looking at. I mean, it really does look like a head and shoulders when someone just beat the right shoulder with a sledgehammer. But yeah, that really takes us down to those lows there in Ethereum over there. So yeah, that's the all-time low. Well, the recent all-time low in Ethereum. But yeah, if this is the beginning of the breakdown, which is one of the reasons why I jumped on, is this could be the beginning of the breakdown. You're really going to have some good charting skills to try to stay in the game, or just avoid trading, basically. Yeah, I think I posted that one. I think I actually had this head and shoulders up here. And yeah, man, it was so hard to see that and then actually see it happen. And then when we saw this drop down come down here, and then it just bounced up so far, I'm like, okay, maybe that's it. Maybe we find support right there, and then it just drifted. And And then it got down there, and I'm like, holy crap, that's just amazing. Hey, Ed, see you, buddy. Are you in Slack, Ed? If you're not, go get in Slack, dude. But yeah, that was just so brutal. That was just so brutal. Yeah. Dueling head and shoulders. Let's see. I probably missed a couple of questions. Cardano oversold. I think everything's oversold. OTA. Oda Rubin. I think if I pronounce your name correctly. Oda Rubin. I think everything's oversold. See, oversold is very time frame dependent. That's the problem with just saying oversold. I mean, everything's oversold. Look at the MACD. Look at this. Look at the RSI. It's underneath the. It's definitely in oversold territory. Yeah, definitely in oversold territory. But one of the problems with Cardano is it really gave up its leadership when it failed out of this cup and handle base up here. Really, this leadership has just been destroyed. Tone thinks everything but BTC is a scam, so maybe find a second source. What's up, Paul? Everyone say hi to Paul. And I kind of agree with him on that. That I kind of agree with him on. I don't know about everything being a scam. There's definitely some validity to a lot of the technologies here, but in terms of everything versus everything, I would definitely say he's onto something in terms of that. Bitcoin is definitely the one thing that will sustain, and probably 20 years from now, you're probably going to see four to 10 of these cryptocurrencies actually make it, and there's going to be a whole slew of other ones that are going to be that haven't even been invented yet. Very similar to the way the internet came about. Next price target for ETH. Yeah, I don't really have targets to the downside. So yeah, you've got that. So you actually have yours way down here. Let's take a log off, and that takes it down to the 30 level. Yeah, so wherever we break this neckline, I guess, and that would be new lows for Ethereum on Binance too. But I don't really have a target for this. I would say, so the one thing I would say, and I don't think I actually, yeah, I did do this. One thing I was looking at was a measured move out of this bear flag. And that takes us down to 85. So that would probably be my next target for Ethereum to the downside, would be 85. The head and shoulders, I see what you're saying there. The only problem is it's so lopsided. I can't rule it out by any stretch. I respect it, but I would, from a targeting perspective, I would rather just use this measured move, which is much more clear and much more standard. What is the next level of support or next target for Bitcoin? So Bitcoin right now has a potential support at about the 9,100 level. That's where I would expect to see some more support stepping in here. Past that, it's going to be probably somewhere near this trend line, wherever we happen to be at that moment in time. But if you do start undercutting right there, we're in for much, obviously, longer periods of consolidation. We have a death cross on the daily on ETH. Oh, do we now? Let me pull up my 50-day moving average. And we're pretty far from it on Bitcoin. Oh, yeah. We've definitely... death cross. Dun, dun, dun. On right there a couple days ago. XRP up to 8,000 sats. Why would you say that? English. It's way down here. Although I will say XRP just had a very nice bottoming coin there, or candle, against Bitcoin. That is a very nice bottoming candle for XRP. That shows there's at least some buying happening down here in what is a very, very low point. Very, very low point for XRP. I don't know if I would put a bunch of money on it going all the way back up to 8,000 sats. We talked about this the other day in the Power Hour about XRP. XRP's had 2 large rallies in its history and a third semi-large rally. Those 2 large rallies were based on XRP tying up. They're based on the same news event. They're based on XRP, and this is where sometimes Y does come into play. Both times they popped because XRP made a plan to on the first pump, and then on the second pump implemented the plan to tie up half of the float, which their parent company Ripple owns. So you kind of have to take that into consideration a little bit in terms of, well, this problem's been solved that caused both of these pumps. And so what's going to give us the pressure for a third pump? And actually, this is the second pump. This is that other pump that members of the Power Hour got. That was crazy. That was crazy. Yeah, it was like the best and luckiest trade of all time right there. Kind of all in the same go. But there was another pump down here that isn't in this chart. Bitcoin, XRP from much, much lower prices. So, but yeah, I'm not sure about XRP getting up. It just really hasn't shown the ability to do that yet. Duarte, could the 2019 rally being money going from alts to BTC instead of new money? If this would be true, there's no more money to go from alts to BTC. It could be the reason for the drop. It could be the reason for the continuation of the drop, Duarte. It could actually be that, because if you look at Bitcoin dominance just getting just exponentially higher from where it was, I think it was down like 20 or 40 or something like that, 30. Yeah, look at that. We were down in 35. We've already doubled. We've doubled in Bitcoin dominance. So moving from altcoin money into Bitcoin could absolutely be correct, in which case it means there's no new money coming into the Bitcoin market, even though there's a lot of accounts on exchanges are increasing still, if I'm understanding. Last time I checked a couple months ago, accounts are still increasing. I just don't think people are putting a lot of money to work. People will put money to work when we really start to rally. And I think we kind of started to a little bit, but not quite enough to get everybody interested. That'll happen probably when Bitcoin surpasses 20,000, whenever that happens. Lady, I already did WAN chain for you. Did you miss it? I did WAN chain when you asked the first time. So WAN chain here. So we'll talk about WAN chain again. WAN chain. So we've been looking for this. We've been looking at this one for a while, actually. So we came down. We were kind of forming a cut base up here. It was looking really good, waiting for it to break out. It never actually broke out. You know what? I take that back. We had our alert here. Earlier I said we had our alert up there. We had it right there. It was just a little bit lower. It poked its head above on decent volume, but not really enough for a breakout. Rolled right over, so I moved the alert to here. I think it was just 5,300 sats is what it was. And ever since we have been unable to get above that, we've been watching this decline and this trend line here. And this morning we added an alert for the Power Hour members at 4310. So we have an alert level right now of WAN chain for 4310. Until it can get above that, we're not really interested in it. Uh, 8.5 is a CME gap. Okay. And someone thinks Litecoin's going to see. Let's see. Oh, yeah, definitely could be. Oh, already has. Yep. Already have the death cross on Litecoin as well. So, yeah, you can really see right there. Yep, market kind of taking it on the chin there. eToro reported a huge amount of Bitcoin buying when the stocks got hit by that silly China Trump FUD. You know, I was wondering about that. I was wondering if we would see an increase into Bitcoin. We did see a little bit of a bounce. I do remember seeing that. I don't know if it's obviously not near what the stock market sold off. The markets are just so immature that there's just not enough not enough float for them to invest effectively. Anyway, so all right, guys. Well, there we go. So we kind of had a dump here in BTC. I think I'm going to call it quits, and see you guys in the next video. Or if you like my content, please consider joining the Power Hour. Try it out for a month. See what you think about it, and yeah, you can hang out with a bunch of good traders, and as we go over the Bitcoin charts every single day. And trading's a little thin right now, but you know it ebbs and flows, is what it is. But yeah, so look for that 91 level to hold as some support if we get back down there. Otherwise, we're probably just going to chop around for a while and maybe move a little bit lower. We really have been unable to get bullish the past several weeks. So double check my moving average. Don't see a death cross on ETH. All right, I'll double check it real quick. No harm. Oh yeah, I got a 21. You're right. I do have a 21. Someone said there was... Oh, yep. You are correct. Haha, good job. Glad I double-checked that. That happens to me from time to time. I stick this to another moving average, and then I usually don't have the 50 up here, but this should be a 50 moving average. So, thanks, sir. All right, guys. Have a good day. I'll see you next time. And stay safe out there. Bye-bye.